Oh, Dan, glad to be here.
Recently, you had an op-ed with Ted Turner in the Wall Street Journal proposing a cash for clunkers program for the utility sector. Can you tell us more about this?
The You're talking about the editorial we did.
Yes.
Yeah, help me out. I wrote that a month ago. What specifically? You're talking about cash for clunkers?
Yes, where we would refit existing power plants towards clean natural gas technology.
I've drawn a blank. I'm sorry but go give me a little more.
Actually, I can. It was by you and Ted Turner. This was on August 16th, 2009. It was in the Wall Street Journal. And basically, what you said was that you would you recommended adopting a cash for clunkers program in the utility sector, whereby we can reduce emissions by retiring the oldest and least efficient, most polluting power plants
Oh,
in exchange for modern gas power plants.
okay. I said, yeah, take the same concept that we thought was successful on cash for clunkers and put it over to the older coal-fired power generation plants, and also give give the same kind of course, it wouldn't be the same dollars because we're talking about a power plant and automobiles, but the same concept, and go with that and pay them to retire the coal plants and get it on natural gas for power generation. Right, I remember now the concept. Okay.
Now, one of the things as far as that plan, as opposed to just junking the existing factories like we junked our cars, can we really retrofit factories so that we don't have to scrap them entirely? And can we do so with American parts and technology?
Well, you're saying retrofit plants. Are you talking about a power generation plant?
Yes, sir.
No, I'd say no, you don't retrofit anything. It'd be just like you'd retire them and build a new, natural gas-fired power generation, which is good. I mean, there's a lot. There's 22% of our power generated every day in America is done on natural gas. See, there's 987,000 megawatts of power in the total power generation universe in the United States, and 22% of that's on natural gas. So technology's in place. It would be easy to do. Take out an old coal-fired and replace it with natural gas.
Now, some of your detractors have said that America will not embrace wind power and it takes too much infrastructure to implement natural gas. So what has the Pickens plan accomplished so far?
Well, you remember that started on July the 8th, 2008, and we were going after several things. We were going after the renewables, which was wind, solar, and with that we wanted a 21st century grid. Well, all of that is needed in this country. Will it work? Of course it'll work. You've got to get your oar in the water, get started on it, and not just go, well, we don't want to change anything. Well, if you don't want to change anything, then you do 52% of your power generation on coal now. So, okay, we're not going to do any changes, stick with the status quo. Okay, build another coal-fired plant. If you want to go forward with technology of the future, you're going to have to get into renewables. So let's do that. That was the first part of my plan. The second part was that we're going to use natural gas, an abundant resource in America, to replace foreign oil. Well, that's an easy argument. Nobody ever stands up and says, hey, Boone, that's a bad idea, because if they do, that means they're for foreign oil. So you're going to go with a resource in America. Where do you start? Start on the heavy-duty equipment, the big 18-wheelers. Start when those are purchased new. I don't want to retrofit anything. When they're purchased new, that's going to give plenty of signal to the infrastructure to start to come into place. The government doesn't have to pay for that. The only thing they got to do is help them on the 18-wheelers, which would be a $65,000 tax credit. And then, as you move forward, only 18-wheelers can only go to a domestic fuel, is the way it's going to work. Don't buy any more diesel, which is foreign oil. you take 6.5 million 18-wheelers, and I think it'll take you 7 years to get to where I want to be. At that point, you will have cut the OPEC imports in half. And that is, we import 4.5 million barrels a day from OPEC. And we will have over 2 million barrels a day will now be used instead of diesel. You'll be using natural gas on the 18-wheelers. Now, where does it go from there? Let's just see where it goes. There are 250 million vehicles in America, and theoretically, all of them could be on natural gas. That isn't going to happen, but it could happen. So let's see, after you do the 6.5 million, or during the process of having that happen, let's see where we go down deeper into the transportation fuel sector, which would mean you'll pick up 6.5 million 18-wheelers, then you'll pick up another million, 2 million, 3 million, whatever, in other parts of the transportation fuel.
What type of support are you seeing in Congress for this right now?
Great. I mean, from what we started with, the wind and solar, the 21st Century Grid is in the climate bill, which has passed out of the House and gone over to the Senate, and the transportation fuel bill is identified as a Natural Gas Act, and that is now been dropped in the House and in the Senate. The House bill is H.R. 1835. Senate bill is Senate Bill 1408. Those will come together and be voted on in October or November. But we are going to have an energy plan for America when we get out. Before we get out of 2009, we will have. After that comes the energy plan that's going to be the direction of our country on energy for the next 50 years. But once we announce to the world we are going to use natural gas for transportation fuel, that's when you get a chair and move up to the energy table globally. Right now, we're nothing but a consumer. We're sitting against the wall, and the energy table is meeting, deciding what they're going to do to us. But once we get on our own resources, that's when we get a spot. That's when we can negotiate the price of oil down.
Now, Democrats appear to be embracing the Pickens plan more than Republicans. Why is that? I mean, shouldn't this appeal to their national defense priorities?
It should, and I think it does. I don't. I'd say that the Republicans haven't been as enthusiastic as the Democrats have, but I would say they're on board. I think everybody's there. If you go back and look at kind of a look at what a bill will do with natural gas on it, go back 4 weeks ago, and in the House, H.R. 1622 was a bill called Natural Gas Vehicle Research, and that was $30 million a year for 5 years. Not a big bill, but it was very interesting how it voted. It was like 387 for, 23 against. Why? Because it had natural gas on it. I think we've done a good job of explaining to Congress and the American people that natural gas is a resource we have to use in transportation.
Now, I've seen some reports where some have challenged this because it picks transportation fuel winners as government subsidies, and apparently, or it seems to run counter to the free market approach. What's your response to those folks?
Well, do they think that the OPEC is a free market? Would be my first question. Well, of course it isn't. You're not in competition with a free market, but you have a resource that is cleaner, cheaper, abundant, and ours. Why wouldn't you use it in preference to imported oil? Now, none of those guys will come out on the field with me and debate this question, because we'll conclude with, I'm for American resources and you're for foreign oil, is the way it'll come out. And they don't like that spot. They've tried it and it doesn't work. So my argument is sound. We're going to use our resources to get ourselves out of a horrible problem, and that problem is security. That's my number one issue. But we continue to import almost 70% of oil, and over half of that we import actually comes from countries that are not even friendly to us. So you got to get off that and get on our resources is what you have to do. And there's no free market argument there because you're not in a free market.
So this isn't a free market issue, this is an American issue.
Exactly. It is an American issue. Now I have people say, well, look, you're for cleaning everything up. Yeah, I'm for cleaning it up. Who wouldn't be for clean? That's an easy answer. Yes, I'm for clean. But first, I'm for security. The security issue has to be fixed because going forward, the dependency on oil from people that are not friendly to us is really stupid for us to do that. And it's been going on for the last 40 years. We have increased our dependency. But if you look around the world, there's not another country that imports almost 70% of their oil from anywhere because they're so vulnerable, they're so exposed on a security issue. And here we are, the biggest importer. We're 13 million barrels a day. Out of 85 million barrels that is produced in the world every day, we're using 21 million barrels, importing 13 million of our 21. We're using 25% of all the oil used every day in the world with 4% of the population. Well, it's insane that we do this because we have resources we can use. But we got to show a little, imagination, a little energy, and be tasked to accomplish this. We can do it. The American people can do whatever you give them the problem, and they'll get you a solution. But you got to tell them what you have to do. And the leadership in Washington for the last 40 years either hasn't understood it, or they can't explain it. But this job should have been accomplished 20 years ago, not just starting today.
Well, the recession has caused energy prices to fall. Oil went as low as $32 a barrel, which makes expensive renewable sources such as wind and solar non-competitive in terms of cost, which is an important consideration at a time when consumers are trying to save on energy bills. How does that bode for the future of wind and other renewables? And are people only going to listen if we have $150 a barrel oil?
No, that's not quite right. I mean, you said $32 a barrel. How long did it stay down at $32 a barrel?
Was there for not too long. It actually spiked up after that.
Yeah, it wasn't down very long. In fact, it's up to 73 today, and you're headed up. And so you're going to be up again. People understand that. Wind will work when natural gas is $6 or $7. Today, natural gas is $3. Will it work now? It's hard. It's hard to make it work. So you're going to have to wait. A lot of things are waiting now for economies to recover. But as the economy recovers, then it's going to, prices are going to move up. But if you say, well, okay, wind and solar are not working right now. They aren't working. But I'll tell you one thing that works, natural gas for transportation fuel. The cheaper natural gas is, the better deal it is for our country. And so let's just get the ore in the water, understand the problem, know that these things will all fall in place as we move forward. But, so, well, I'm not so sure. Okay, you're not so sure. You don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. Okay, what do you want to do? You want to be for foreign oil? Well, no, I'm not for foreign oil. Well, what are you for then? You're either for the Pickens plan or you're for foreign oil. It's that simple.
Now, Mr. Pickens, you're considered one of the great oil men of the United States. We've seen oil go up to 150, crash, now come back up. Where do you see oil going?
Up. It has to. Look at the history. Go back 5 years. OPEC revenues were $250 billion 5 years ago. What were they in 2008? $1,250 billion. They went up 5 times in 5 years. What do you think is going to happen in 10 years from now? Let's just look at it. Oil has peaked at 85 million barrels a day, declines at 7 million barrels a day annually. So if you don't do any drilling, no replacement at all, you'll be down to 78 million barrels a day next year. Well, that isn't what's going on. There's drilling going on all around the world. You're adding oil back in, but we haven't been able to get it above 85 million for the last 5 years. I don't think you can ever get it above 85. So eventually, you're not going to be able to replace that decline, and I think that'll occur in 2012, 2013. Well, at the same time, economy recovers globally. Where were you in the fourth quarter of last year? Demand was 87 million barrels a day. You were producing 85. Oil ran up to 147. Why? Because it was anticipated you were going to need 87 million barrels a day and you only had 85. The only way, if you peak on supply, that you can kill demand is with price. And that's exactly what the market was doing when it ran up to 147. It was killing demand with price. And that's what happened. Now you drop back to 83 million barrels a day. Now you're building back up again. In 10 years from now, where you're going to be back up again. You'll be well above 90 million barrels a day demand with an 85 million barrel a day supply. It won't work. 85 won't cover 90. The only way you can control it is with price. So in 10 years from now, we will be importing, I don't know, I'm not so sure we'll be importing much more than we are right now, but maybe as much as 75%. If that is the case, the price of oil will be $300 a barrel.
Now, oil, along with copper and many other commodities, have all seen price increases year to date. Do you think that we're officially here at a commodities bull market?
Yeah, we've been in a commodity bull market. We had a little drop back, but I think the trend is up. Yes, if you're going to grow globally, then you're going to have a commodity bull market. It's what's going to happen.
Now, a lot of what's fueling the commodities market is a fear of U.S. inflation. Do you feel that inflation is a concern, and if so, how bad could it get?
You're saying inflation?
Yes, sir.
I'm not an economist, so you're kind of hitting me with an economist's questions, and I've supposed the way we've stimulated the economy that you're going to have inflation. Maybe you're 2 or 3 years out from it, but inflation's going to come at some point.
Well, let's talk towards something. I guess a lot of the inflation came from all the government spending. Let's talk a little bit about Obama. Right now, we've spent $23 trillion on the bailouts. What's your thought of this?
We spent what?
$23 trillion in bailouts.
23?
Yes, sir.
No, we didn't spend 23 trillion.
Yes, according to the TARP chief, we've spent $23 trillion in various government facilities, lending facilities, as well as government stimulus, bank bailouts on this entire bailout package that we've had for the past year.
We got to check that number. I'm not in agreement on the 23 trillion. That's too much. But whatever we spent, it's going to be hard to pay back, and the only way you're going to be able to pay it back is grow the economy and increase taxes. Is the only way I see out of the problem.
Do you think that increasing taxes will have I would say, a depressive effect on the economy?
You'd think so. It usually does. But tell me how you're going to get out of it. Give me some help.
Well, as far as looking at the government right now, talking bailouts and stimulus and so forth, the newest Obama initiative that's on everybody's forefront right now is healthcare. What are your thoughts on Obama's current healthcare plan?
I'd say he's struggling with it, and the CBO comes up with what it's going to cost us, and I think they give us a cost of over $1 trillion on that, and I don't see how we afford to do it. But that again, I'm focused on the energy plan for America that we have to have, and the security issue is number one. And so I don't spend any time studying those things. I just I watch television and I do a little reading on healthcare, but not much.
Well, shifting gears then, we seem to be headed pretty fast towards electric cars. Why don't we have the same interest in natural gas-powered cars, do you think?
I don't know. It's kind of interesting. The battery, I think, is very appealing to people because it has zero emission problem, and we still have a little emission problem with natural gas, but half what we do with gasoline and diesel. So I don't know. The battery won't move an 18-wheeler, so there's no competition between an electric vehicle compared to a natural gas 18-wheeler. We're in a class all our own with natural gas. Do natural gas for the 18-wheelers and see where we go from there. Maybe it goes down in the transportation fuel sector, clear down to your car and my car. I drive a Honda GX Civic, which is a natural gas car. I fuel it in my garage at home at night, and it costs me about $1 a gallon. And so, you know, that's a good car to do the job. It's a commuter car. It's not a car I'd get into and drive to Chicago from Dallas. It's a car that I would drive to my office. It gets me the HOV lane with single occupancy, and the cost of it is insignificant compared to larger cars.
Well, one of the big arguments for shifting to natural gas is that it's cheaper than oil right now.
That's right.
But if we shift a major portion of our cars over to natural gas, won't prices just rise with demand?
Well, you're going to have an increase in demand because you're oversupplied with natural gas right now. And that'll all come because we had 1,680 drilling rigs drilling for natural gas a year ago. Today we have 680. So you've lost 1,000 rigs off of your drilling activity. So consequently, they'll start to decline. Price will go up, and the rigs will go back to work. That's just the way it is. When you're oversupplied on a commodity, the price gets cheap. When you're undersupplied, it gets expensive.
Well, Dr. Robert Schiller, the Yale economist, recently told us that oil is a pretty important investment, even in good times, because of its impact on the economy. And despite your alternative energy views, oil and oil services is still a big part of your investment strategy. Is it also an investment for ordinary folk, too?
Is it an investment for what?
Ordinary folk.
Well, sure. I mean, oil is, it's a finite resource, and I said it was capped, and it'll start to decline, I think, in 12 or 13. And sure, I think oil is a good investment because the forward curve, like I said, 10 years, you're up to $300 a barrel.
And also, just in closing, considering all the opposition you've run into with the Pickens plan, as well as the successes that you've had, and then also looking at entrenched oil interests in the United States, in your heart of hearts, do you expect America to wean itself off fossil fuels completely?
Well, if you want to increase the credibility of America, and I think the biggest hit we've taken, and we all struggle with the fact that we've lost credibility globally, that our country has. The way you do it is with resources. We have the resources to get off of foreign oil. Now, we don't want to get off foreign oil from Mexico and Canada, and there are other places that I feel very comfortable with taking foreign oil from. But there's a part of the world that I don't feel comfortable. Once we start to reduce that dependency, then we can negotiate the price of oil. Our credibility will go up dramatically when that happens, and there's no question. If you look back where I started in July of last year, I've gotten everything I wanted, and I haven't. You say I've got some detractors out there, but they don't show up. They don't come out on the field. They don't walk out and say, "Boone, you're a cluck. You don't know what you're doing." Nobody says that. They know I know what I'm doing. All right, good to talk to you.